Welcome to NewWayStories. My name is Jesse, and as you can tell, we're so excited. We're so excited about this. Darius, my host, my co-host, he has been. That kind of made it sound like I was a parasite. I'm just like doing a podcast in Darius's head. I go, and my host, Darius, you can tell he's not having a great day today, but we can turn that around.
Hey, all the spirits that live in this head, can we give it up for our host? Gracious guy, lets us stay here. Murders people whenever we want him to. He's a good fella. So dark.
Parasites are not what I want to talk about this episode, but they are fascinating.
Oh.
Just throwing it out there. There's a parasite that like thrives in water, but they find their way into bees for some reason. But then they make the bee drown in water so that it can get out. Like, I don't know why it doesn't start in water, but it makes the bee drown.
Okay, look, there's two. One, there's a parasite that is like super dark, black, inky substance. If you get it on your body, it will give you a suit. Yeah. It will make you super strong.
Okay.
And you will be able to make two good movies. Well, two arguably good movies and one movie that flops super hard.
How does it make you feel about jazz?
It will make you dance for Ron Howard's daughter hard.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
This sounds... Sometimes people are like, ooh, parasites are bad. This one kind of sounds like a good thing.
Well, I heard there was a side effect of maybe like domestically abusing like your ex, like maybe pushing them and like maybe hitting them.
Domestically abusing your ex's boyfriend, more like. He beat that guy like a bad housewife. We can't say that. If you've seen Spider-Man 3, you know what I mean. And, housewives shouldn't be hit ever.
No.
Parasites, amoebas.
We're talking about Venom. If you don't know, we're talking about Venom.
We're talking about Venom.
If you don't know we're talking about Venom, you're not on the wrong podcast, but buckle up.
I have been watching a thing. It's like good writing. I really enjoy it. YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. But he mentioned the vampire one, the Sony vampire movie, Morbius, and he said it actually was really good. Have you watched Morbius, Ben?
No.
He said Morbius was awesome. And
why was it
from what this guy? Well, he actually he used one scene as an example of bad dialogue. But he goes, outside of this one scene, it was actually a really good movie. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
It wasn't.
So I might watch it.
It wasn't so god awful that it was unwatchable by any means. And the guy, I don't know if you guys watch Doctor Who, but Matthew, I can't remember his last name. Matt Smith.
Was he like two doctors ago?
Yeah, like 2 doctors ago.
Yeah.
He wasn't the black dude. He wasn't the girl. I think he wasn't the Scottish guy.
Maybe 3 doctors ago?
So almost 4 doctors. It's crazy how fast they change those doctors. Matt Smith was
crazy
pretty
how
good
time
in the movie.
Flies
I don't
in the Doctor Who universe. I'd rather be driving a TARDIS. I saw that bumper sticker once. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's all. Matt Smith is good in the movie. Morbius isn't terrible. They do the origin story thing, and I think one of the things we've learned about origin stories is you can't do origin story comic book movies anymore.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons that all the Sony movies have sucked so bad is they're all same
trying to do
origin story. There's no fluctuation at all.
I would say with Morbius, I don't know what Morbius is. I've never read like a Morbius comic book. So an origin story I think I could watch, but it does make more sense at this point for all comic book movies. If you're going to make them, just have them already be the superhero and do like a 2-minute flashback where you're like, oh, this is how it happened or whatever. Yeah, so I like that. We're at. So anyway, I thought that was interesting because I thought that I would never hear something good said about like a Sony superhero movie or anti-hero movie from a source that I respected. right? That's China would tell you they love all of those movies, which I'm like, I guess I just won't trust anything to come out of China. I've had to stop shopping at Walmart exclusively.
Other than Jet Li and Jackie Chan, what has come out of China?
Now, Hong Kong is different. Hong Kong is different.
That's true.
From a political, you're
100% right.
Geography.
You're 100% right.
I wouldn't have known that before the Olympics this last time because they were like athletes of Hong Kong. I was like, what the heck? And then I like did the whole deep dive, and it was a European thing until the 90s, and now they're their own thing, and that's why the movies I like are in Cantonese and not
Mandarin.
Mandarin, thank you. Yeah. But we digress.
Hong Kong.
The important. We'll get to Hong Kong later.
Put Hong Kong on the back burner. 是不老少是被是外外飞去，哈哈，是否发现所谓面并研究
And I'll be talking about my favorite cartoon, Hong
really
Kong
fake.
Phooey. No, I'm just kidding.
Stupid fake Chinese.
So, we posted a video. And when I say we, I mean Ben. Ben posted a video on Instagram and clipped. And last week, we talked about fighting in sports. Okay? We haven't really talked about sports before on this podcast. It's much more of a nerdy podcast where we talk about comic books and movies. And
I was going to say we're more of an intellectual podcast.
Well, that's a. Some people would say that. Not a lot. Look, but some.
Neil deGrasse Tyson has said it.
And we're not going to correct him.
This is more of an intellectual podcast that I hate.
And so I said...
But he still said it.
I said, essentially, it's mind-blowing to me that fights can happen in sports, and then essentially people only get a penalty, an unsportsmanlike penalty, where in any other real job, there's legal ramifications for punching somebody in the face.
Mm-hmm. You did specifically say football as well. You were kind of like specifically talking about football.
Well, yes, it is the NFL season, and I had just seen DK Metcalf get into a fight, and his teammates are like trying to hold him back, but he's so angry at the defensive player, he has to get into a fight. And so Ryan Anderson and I were talking about this too. Here's another level of it. Intellectually, I can say it's stupid, whatever, like it's caveman. But then Ryan was like, I like it when they're trying to punch each other in the face and the other person still has a helmet on. And I go, this is the one moment I wish the R word we could still use, because there's not a better term that has
for
more
them to
punch.
Rape each other?
No. Don't be retarded.
I'll stop. We're going to get in so much trouble.
Guys,
who are we
listen.
get in trouble from?
Here's my one thing is I need a word that is punchy, that is like, you are the dumbest person in the world, and this has nothing to do with
handicapped people,
mentally handicapped people. I need
just a word.
I wish that there was a word that could
occupy that space.
Could occupy that space that has the same punch to it, because when I see that, I go all-time dumb person. Trying to
I use the word honky.
Person. Now, with that being said,
that's what that means to me. Super dumb idiot.
With that being said, we posted it on Instagram and we got a bevy of comments.
And our most viewed reel.
We said, we're going to talk about sports for 2 minutes. And then we got a whole bunch of people who probably are way more into sports than us. Not comic books, movies, or storytelling. And boy, did they hate it.
You know what? I looked at every profile of every person who was like rude to you. And I was like, click, could beat you up. Click, could beat you up.
Oh, well,
click, could beat you up. Click. And there was not a single person on there that I was like, I can't beat this person up.
Ben, feel free to clip this for everybody who hated me saying that, like, you shouldn't fight in sports, that I think it's a dumb caveman move. I challenge you. I challenge you to a fist fight. Find me at the Fred Meyer on...
Don't give out addresses.
It's the Fred Meyer.
I will be there to record. And if you try to fight me, I will run backwards while recording.
We'll get it. Listen.
Imagine how petty it would be if I actually clipped this and tagged each and every person.
I mean, just
do it. I will kick them in their thighs so hard that their femurs will have hairline fractures. I haven't done martial arts for a long time. I can kick so hard and your leg will hurt for weeks.
Listen. I can do it. I can do it. I will drop an elbow so hard on your larynx. Once I ask where the larynx is and my wife tells me, I'll pinpoint accuracy.
Kate, where is the liver between the chin and the clavicle? I want to punch them in the liver.
How hard do I have to punch somebody in the liver to make their liver spots transition to the eyes? I just want... That's what they say when they see spots, right?
I am a lover, not a fighter. I don't want to fight anybody. I would like to fight in a ring with constraints and pads and safety.
Sanctioned
I do
fighting.
Like to spar.
Sanctioned
I'm not
fighting.
Gonna street fight you. I love people.
Listen, I'm not here to fight, but I will if I have to.
Look, I'm not here to start things. I'm here to end them.
So,
should I read some of them?
Yeah, let's hear some of the comments.
Okay, so we're at 2,823. We have 63 likes, 20 comments.
Wait, 2,800 views?
Yeah.
I thought we were up to 4,000.
No, I don't know where you got that number from.
I said we
Maybe
want 4,000 views a week. Because cumulatively, like between the videos Ben made last week, there was over 4,000 views.
Gotcha.
on videos.
Love it.
Page.
All right.
Okay, so one of the first ones we got was, have you ever been to a bar before? Do you ever have cousins close in age? Have you never been in a public playground before? This happens everywhere. Laughing face, laughing face, laughing face.
Okay. Did someone respond to that?
Darius responded.
Let's hear it.
He said, actually, we fight kids at public playgrounds weekly, and we never win.
Okay.
And then he responded, just like Cat Williams.
Oh, that's right. Cat Williams punched that high schooler.
Nice.
I forgot about that.
That's well played. I will take that comment and say well played on that. I will say, if you've ever been on a playground, you're making my point.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about adult men, and it would be weird if adult men are on playgrounds without their kids. Close cousins or siblings, that doesn't count. Like, sure, you can get into scraps with...
That's what we say in Arkansas. Close cousins doesn't count.
Especially growing up, right? Again, if you have gotten into a fist fight with your close cousin post 18 or 19 years old, then there's...
You're probably a little bit of a dummy.
Then there's an issue. And then a bar where people, like, their inhibitions are deadened, right? And then, like, stupid pride, like someone bumps into you and you go, I now have to fight you.
Yeah.
It's a stupid argument. No. You were saying these guys are getting paid to do their job.
Right.
And they're fighting each other in the middle of getting paid to do their job. Which
during office hours.
The only sport that I follow is MMA. It's the only sport that I follow.
Yeah.
It's the only sport that I enjoy.
I can't believe those guys are fighting each other.
And those people, their job is to fight each other, and they get paid to do it. And they actually really almost never, with the exception of Nate Diaz, who is a psychopath, they almost never fight each other outside of...
Pre or post, right. It's always met with the utmost respect. Like, they literally are bowing and shaking hands before and after a fight.
Yes, And so the point you were making was at their jobs, they can't just throw over stuff like children and try to fight each other when they don't even know how to fight. That guy's argument it's completely not about what you were talking about.
That is a great argument. That also is a great point. I just love
his argument
the
has
Cat
no
Williams
point to it.
No, the Cat Williams bit is just was funny.
I like that
funny.
But
fun guy. I like the fact that he's commenting.
The other thing is when you follow MMA and then you watch sports fights, you go, oh,
Oh.
Not only are these adults not adults,
They don't know how to fight.
they also don't know how to fight. All right. What's the next one?
The next one the next one that shows up is actually from Denton.
Oh, nice.
And he says, interesting take, but have you considered that I don't like the Dallas Cowboys?
We haven't. And why do you hate America's team? Are you a communist, Denton? Because if you are, I'll fight you.
He probably would prefer for them to be the Dallas Cowthems.
Darius responded
Love
with,
it, Denton.
ha 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 ha. That's it.
Well, I mean, what more can you say?
I like Denton's comment. That was funny.
Denton's write-ins have been some of the better ones,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Shout out to Denton.
Okay. Next one. Wait till he watches hockey. And
Okay,
then
that's a good one though.
Oh, okay. Wait. Keep going.
Darius says, what is a hockey? Very clever, Darius.
Okay, double standard here. And I admit, oftentimes when I'm acting hypocritical, I will admit to it. Fighting in sports is really dumb, except for in hockey.
But it's part of it.
I'm all here for it.
Well, I do think that again is not a great argument, because I think Ben's right. There are provisions for them to fight in hockey. It's culturally expected at the very least. And they all know, like, if you play hockey, professional hockey, this is part of the game.
I will say when the rest of the sports, so like in the 90s and early 2000s, like ESPN showed the biggest hits from like football, right? And they stopped doing that. They stopped glorifying like the violence of football, which is stupid because it's like, this is the game, right? But hockey has never shied away from it. Yeah. They go, this is who we are. Mm-hmm. We've got a smaller audience. And if you don't like it, you can watch soccer. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But we're going to fight each other.
Yes.
No, double standard. They still are adults getting into fights, which is stupid, but I'm okay with it in hockey.
Yes. Okay. And here's the next one that shows up was kind of the first mean comment.
Yeah.
Rude. I would say
Love
rude.
it.
It's the famous grow a pair.
Grow a pair.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Darius responded with,
Wait, you have to read his username first.
His username is Bradfuss2.
Bradfuss?
Bradfuss.
His name is Brad. His name is Brad.
Brad.
Okay, yeah.
He is
Of course it's Brad.
Never, I'm not gonna okay. Darius responded with, this is exactly the motivation we've been looking for. We weren't going to ever grow pairs. But now that you said it, you know what? We will. We will go grow pairs immediately. And when people notice that we've grown pairs, we'll look at the sky and say, thanks, Brad. And then Justin Hawkins responded.
My boy. Justin, if you're listening, you're my boy.
To this thread?
He just responded with laughing, crying, laughing. And then I responded as NewWayStories.
Yeah.
Our New Year's resolution.
When people notice we've grown pairs. That's fun. Hey, did you grow? You seem like you've grown a pair.
Is that what happened?
Are there? Your hands aren't in your pockets. I'm pretty sure you've grown a pair.
Darius and then responded to Justin Hawkins saying, he got us, man. He really got us. Justin said, for real. And then Seth said, ha ha ha, thanks, Brad.
Dude, Brad got it, man. Brad just ate a shot to the chin there.
Yeah.
Boom.
And I will say he technically got ratioed because the grow pair comment only got 3 likes and Darius's response got 8.
Oh.
Oof.
There we go.
So in your face, Brad.
There we go.
Buried
your
face. Buried you, Brad.
The next one, I don't understand. The next one, I don't understand. I don't think we ever figured out.
Oh.
Bro's definitely a naff.
This might be inappropriate, and if it is, we apologize.
Yeah,
we don't know what a NAF is.
I Googled what is NAF.
And I still don't know what it is.
And it meant nothing came up.
And Google said, do you mean Nap?
And Google said, "You're a naff."
Dude, Google's kickback is just like terrible.
I googled what is a naff, and Google said, "Did you mean?" And then it was a bunch of pictures of mirrors. Image search mirrors.
And then Darius says, "That's a weird way to flirt, Anthony." His name is Anthony. "I don't even know what that means, but I like the vibe." Chris Romero said, "Let's get on the podcast together, and I will see if I can explain to you guys why this is acceptable. Why this is acceptable isn't okay, not at all, but why do we look at it as acceptable? Let's talk about it. Also, I had no idea this existed, so thanks for the heads up, fellas."
Oh,
Boom.
dude, I freaking love
Chris Romero.
Let's get Chris on the pod for sure. Chris is hilarious.
Yeah, let's do it. And that's a great example, great reason, because I am truly terrible at running into people and having their phone number and totally having access and being like, dude, we should go grab coffee. We should get together. And it's been 2 years and I've ran into him like a dozen times and never have gotten together with him. Not because it's Chris, but because I'm terrible at it. So podcast, like, let's just stir up controversy just to get a reason to hang out with other people.
Oh, yeah.
And then Taylor James Hall said, and this is the final one.
That sounds like a famous person.
Aaron
I
Taylor
don't know
Johnson.
if it is, but I hope that they get famous before I hear their comment. I hope they get famous just based on their name. All right, go for it.
Taylor's a buddy of mine. He went to school at Riverside with my wife, and he's maybe the nicest dude I've ever met. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. He was like
comment is super mean.
crazy scrawny kid in high school, like just not even a beanpole, because he wasn't tall enough to be a beanpole. Was just tiny scrawny kid.
Yeah,
joined the Marine Corps. Was in the Marine Corps.
That'll help.
I don't know what he did in the Marine Corps. Got back from the Marine Corps and started bodybuilding, and now he plays like semi-professional flag football, and he is a brick house. Yeah. He bench presses 315 pounds for reps.
That's almost as much as I weigh.
On his Instagram,
he was plates for reps. He's a freak.
Dang.
I love
on his
Taylor.
Instagram, he was eating 2 double cheeseburgers.
Yeah, he's a freak.
That's, if there's any reason to work out, that's like, if the motivation has been wrong for people, they go, hey, lose weight. Like, you can like feel better about yourself. They go, listen, if you work out for 2 hours, you can eat 2 double cheeseburgers and not feel guilty about it at all.
Well, dude,
great. I think I'm getting a gym membership.
Phenomenal.
Okay, his response, very nice. He said, people in the comments proving this video right is nice. And then Darius responded with laughing.
That's the immediate reaction. Amazing. Well, dude, it brings so much joy to my heart to know that there are people out there who don't get the show at all.
Should we follow Brad? Should we follow Brad and then tag him in the next post?
Absolutely, man. Because like,
Brad's
do it right now.
I mean,
Brad.
it's so like, it's just so funny, and like, leave it to the internet to like post a thing, and you're like, hey, I don't know why people are like being violent, and Brad, we love you.
And I'm gonna like a story. It just posted about football
clip. I think it looks like he plays college football. So
really?
My comment saying that I think I can beat him up. Still 100% stands.
Hey, Brad, why don't you watch a little movie I like to call The Perfect Weapon, 1992, starring Dante Basco, and I forget his name, but he's a champion. And see what happens when a football player messes with a guy who's super into kung fu.
Watch Brad as like also a D1 collegiate wrestler, and just finds me at Fred Meyer, slams my head into the
happens
concrete.
To run into you at Fred Meyer. He goes, I've been coming here every day for the last 3 years.
He lives in like Nebraska.
I happen to run into you finally.
Look, Brad, we love you.
Double leg takedown.
Brad, we love you. It's all love. But if you listen to this, I will still fight you.
It is so much.
Just
it's
for
so
fun.
much fun to me.
It
is to me. It strikes me as it's so funny that it's like the first time we try to get out of our comfort zone a little bit and be like, we're gonna post about sports. People are like, You're a nerd.
Dude, you know what's crazy is the
Go back to the library and play Dungeons and Dragons. I wish
will.
I could.
I wish I could. Someone stole my deck. Now I have to restart the whole thing from the bottom. Luckily, I still have my Magic the Gathering cards, so I can still go on Thursday nights. That is, I'm not. I actually do love Dungeons and Dragons, and I think Magic the Gathering is really cool.
I'm in
I was just at a card shop last night. As am I.
All right, let's get into what we actually came to talk about. That
Yeah.
was a ton of fun, and I hope that we stir up controversy like Eminem so that we can talk about more things for people
Yes.
hating us. It brings me so much joy, almost as much joy. Stephen Thaxton texted me this morning or last night and said, "Love your podcast. It's so funny." That brings
so
me
cool.
like a certain amount of joy. Love you, Stephen. But this brings me more joy for sure.
People hating me.
When I wrote Rat Race, just as a side note, the character in the beginning gets hit by a red sports car guy wearing Ray-Bans, total douchebag, and his name is Brad in the story. I just want to and
We're
it's like
starting a
license
campaign.
Brad number one. Listen. I'm not surprised. Is what I'm trying to say.
We're
that
starting a
Brad hated
campaign.
our video.
We're gonna cyberbully Brad until he changes his name.
Or just blocks us.
Oh, no.
What a coward's
I'm
way
gonna
out.
create
What a
fake
coward's
accounts.
way out.
There's only one way out of this, Brad, and it's death.
All right.
No,
So
we love you, Brad.
I watched the movie Saturday night last week, 2 weeks ago. Excuse me.
What movie?
And what?
You watched the movie on
What
Saturday?
movie
I
did you
watched
watch it?
the movie Saturday night, directed by Jason Reitman,
You watched-
about the
You mean-
first
you
night of
watched the-
Saturday Night Live.
You watched the movie?
You got us. You got us.
There's a.
This is the worst bit.
No,
It's a bad bit, yeah.
okay. I'm not gonna.
But I
I'm not gonna
started
rabbit
it.
trail. I'm not gonna rabbit trail. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm gonna rabbit trail less.
Nice.
And I loved it. I thought it was so good. It's funny. It's drama. It's tension filled. I thought they captured like the stress of like, I'm assuming of what it would have been that first night. But I thought about it and I go like, will other people like this movie if they didn't like Saturday Night? Or do I like this movie purely because it's about Saturday Night Live? Any sort of Saturday Night Live history or insight, I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to Fly on the Wall and Conan Needs a Friend. And I'll listen to Conan Needs a Friend more when it's a SNL alum.
Yep.
Like, I'll be more interested in
Oh,
it.
for sure.
And so, yeah, my thought is, or my question was, do other people like this movie? So it got me thinking about niche interests and nostalgia and how that drives our enjoyment in movies, TV show, music, etc. Like country music, right?
Yeah.
Country music. Obviously, you're talking about things that you can relate to, and music is an interesting, topic. I think in
that's
this
true.
as well. But you go, Trace Atkins, right, has this old song from like 2006, "Gun Rack Ball Cap, Don't Take No Crap," and you're like, yeah, gun rack ball cap. I'm in.
I got a gun rack. I got a ball cap.
I happen to have a gun rack and a ball cap, and
I only give crap.
as Brad knows, I don't take no crap. And so now I'm super into this song, right? And I remember as like a high school redneck hillbilly, I love that song.
And Proud Republican.
And Proud Republican. Is that a good song? Probably not. You know what I mean? There's some country artists that like technically, well, I think like Keith Urban, right? Keith Urban technically is a musician and singer. Is really, really good. He does not sing things that interest me,
Right.
like other country music people. Like A Country Boy Can't Survive is the redneck national anthem for
it's a
a
sick
reason
song.
that Hank Jr. is like saying things that we believe, right?
Yeah.
If the
Right,
song
right,
comes
right.
on in a bar, I don't forget who it is. I have been in a bar, not to brag. And if that song comes on, people stand up, remove their camouflage hats, and put it over their heart because it's speaking to the interests that you have and the people. And it's like
They start playing their duck calls like kazoos.
The 21 gun salute. It's dangerous inside of a bar when the 21 gun salute happens. Yeah. So, okay. What's your guys' thoughts on that in general? And then I kind of want to get into like some specifics on what you enjoy and what I think
this
enjoy.
is really cool because I've thought about this as it pertains to one thing and one thing only. And I'll wait for you to jump to the next part of the conversation, but I really don't think about this that much. But it's a really interesting thought. Like, do I like things that are good? Do I like things that ideologically are like align with me or like get me stirred up emotionally in some way?
Yeah.
Even if there's really no like artistic value to them, or they're just not well done.
Yeah.
And I just think it's super interesting. It's fun to think about. And it doesn't matter because I'm not going to
totally.
stop. This is not going to stop me. Like I'm still going to I'm going to double down.
Well,
if anything,
we talked about it in our nostalgia episode because a while ago I suggested Hook, which is like of my all-time favorite movies. Now, Hook is a good movie. Like as I was thinking through these movies
it is.
in TV shows, I go, all right, I'm dying on the sword of Hook, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, and Tremors. These are all great movies. Yep. They are good movies. I happen to love them because they hit my interests and they're nostalgic for me, right? So it's everything that's going right. I'm like, this is the best movie ever made. But then when I suggest to somebody else, hey, you should watch this movie, they're like, oh yeah, it was okay. I'm like, and it hurts because you're like, I feel
it is
so much more.
Oh, dude, my sweet wife, who is an artist, is better at all art than I
can
am.
attest to that.
She's done video production. She understands like what a good video or even a good film is, and just in general has better taste than me. She will insist that like there are certain Disney Channel original movies that are good movies. And I'm like, well, I like them, but I can't ever like them the way you like them. I'll never be able to because I didn't watch them after school on my couch, eating Doritos, drinking a root beer, like in that divine moment that some kids have after school when you have an hour
absolutely
where, like, the
right before
world
your
is
parents
yours.
get home. I watched so much Dragon Ball
You're
Z
enjoying
in
that movie?
hour.
Yeah.
Okay, DCOM,
Oh,
great.
man.
Like Brink, I rollerbladed. Not to brag. If Brad finds out about this, he's gonna trash me so hard. He goes, knew this kid was a fruit booter.
No, he's gonna be shaking his boots.
Brad's a child. I don't.
Brad's a 12-year-old
What a fruit booter is.
just destroying us. Oh, that would be amazing. He really meant that meet by the playground like comment.
Grow a pair.
So, dude, yeah, Brink, rollerblading, and I was like 7 when it came out, or maybe a little older, but like,
yeah, dude,
I'm into it because it's rollerblading, and like you said, it's DCOM. It's like made for me, and again, I could go back and say, out of all the Disney Channel originals, Brink's like up there. Same with Johnny Tsunami. But
did you like dirt bikes? Did you like
motocross? Was lame.
Does motocross suck because
it's a girl is the lead? There could be a chance. There could be a chance that as a 12-year-old,
I'm kidding. You're not homophobic.
A 12-year-old guy, I'm like, why are we watching chicks race motocross?
Motocross is the wildest catfish of a movie for children. That this girl pretends to be a boy, and then she cuts off her hair, pretends to be a boy. Then she gets this other boy who's better at dirt bike riding than she is to train her and fall in love with her. Then she reveals that she's a girl, and he is rightfully confused and frustrated and ticked out of his mind because because he's like, I loved Babes. And then he spends like 6 weeks with her and he's like, I'm pretty sure I love this dude. I'm pretty sure I'm going to marry this guy. And then she's like, actually, I'm a girl. And he's like, what?
I don't know.
What is happening?
Yeah, I don't know if I like that you're a girl or I just spent 6 weeks convincing myself otherwise. Dude, I kind of forgot all of that. In a more realistic story of that version, she's the man. You know, she's pretending, but also, you know, Channing Tatum is, you know, not falling in love with her as the dude. But don't they like date or like go out? Like she like switches.
They do go out afterwards.
Switches, right? She's like, I'm the dude, and then the brother, and then she'll like, is there like a kissing booth involved or something where she has to, so he like sees her as Amanda Bynes.
That's right. Because he does like her. He likes her as Amanda, and he's trying to convince her posing as her brother to convince her
new
talk
podcast
to her
idea
for him.
We're just going to break down Amanda Bynes movies. Boy, I haven't watched Motocross in a long time.
Motocross it definitely has a montage where they're falling in love. And you can interpret it different ways, but it's a montage where they fall in love. I do know
that Travis Pastrana worked on Motocross because that was like the time that he, you know, when he was like a younger guy at the time for sure, but he like I think he's like in the movie, but he broke his arm, so he like couldn't ride during the shoot, and so like somebody had to like ride in his place, and he's like, I will tell you, this is the only time that someone did my stunt for me. Like, it's just because he could ride.
He's like, in this montage, do you think maybe they could we have a little bit more intimacy in the montage? I'm not really sure if I'm buying it. And the director's like, aren't you here to do a backflip? He's like, well, a backflip heel clicker, but yeah.
Yeah, DComs are a great point for nostalgia and for interest, right? Like even for me, for like writing stories, you know, they're like, pick a location that people want to visit, right? Or like if you're a local author, you're like, hey, you should buy this book. It's set in Yakima. So it's like, you know, people like know.
Yeah.
Or interest, or, you know, it's like, hey, you should explore something that someone wants to like step into the shoes, right? That's like James Bond is like the Bachelor Paradise, right? So that every guy can be like, oh, I want to be James Bond. I go around like shooting Russians and drinking fancy cocktails and meeting ladies. You know, normal interests. Brad gets it. Yeah, but does it?
Brad's mad because he got motocrossed. Brad got motocrossed recently. Dude, he got motocrossed recently, and now he's out on Instagram everywhere being like, grow a pair like I did because I have one.
That she's actually a girl. He's like, I just am so motocrossed right now. My emotions are everywhere. I don't know what to believe.
I'm so sorry. Could you go change? Your skirt is so confusing. Maybe just put on some baggy pants and a hoodie.
4 Christmases when they're playing I don't know if you guys have seen the Christmas movie, but when they're playing, not charades, but taboo, you have to guess the word, and it's Jon Favreau and his wife. She's just going through stuff, and he's crushing it while he's eating chicken wings. It's so amazing. But she goes, I'm not allowed to wear this to Supercross. She goes, mini skirt. Yes. Me and you dry humping on the beach. Screensaver.
Screensaver.
Dude, it's like me and you of the best like 30 seconds of comedy I've ever seen.
Great. Yeah.
So
great scene.
Yeah, but like, I guess I'm bringing it up because I almost, when I suggest things or tell people to watch something, it's that determination. You go, did I like this because it has the thing that I enjoy or am interested in, or nostalgia? Like, will you? I guess I'm just insecure about giving good recs, right? If I tell somebody, hey, you should go watch this, and they go, that was lame. That is like, it hurts me because I go, I should be able to give you a good recommendation on movies.
It also
Yeah.
recently, so we rewatched Deadpool and Wolverine because Sarah
Yeah.
hadn't seen it, and I didn't really ask her about it because I was still sort of sick. I wanted to put something on that I've seen before because if I watched something new, I physically couldn't handle it.
Totally.
And I couldn't tell if
Not before I've had my coffee and my wine.
I was okay. But I rewatching it. It might have been because I was sick, but I was like, man, this movie isn't as good as I remembered it. And I'm like, did I?
Ooh.
And I didn't know how Sarah felt. Like, did I because I've been like kind of not hyping this movie a lot, but I've been saying like, oh, it's really fun. But did I like it because it had a lot of my favorite characters in it?
I was going to say a lot of the Easter eggs and stuff, I do believe is a ploy to get people, instead of taking the time to write good characters, write good story.
Yeah, dude.
You go, man, we've got like 37 Easter eggs in this movie. I bet you can't find them all. And then every nerd is like, I found them and I loved this movie.
I think the
They're getting reverse psychology. The nerds are like, Marvel's dead. And Kevin Feige's like, well, Marvel might be dead, but I bet you can't find these 37
who's,
Easter eggs, nerd. And they're like, oh, not only will I find the 37 Easter eggs, but I'll go see the movie 4 times.
Who's
How about
the
that,
Disney
idiot?
person right now?
Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars.
Yeah.
She produced Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
I like saw her screen,
That's
like
nuts.
her like go across the screen. I was like, shoot, man, she's been in the game for a long time and has the track record.
Well, that makes sense. It makes sense because she's been in the Spielberg, Lucas,
That circle, yeah.
Zemeckis sphere.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. It's just that George Lucas was never a good writer, and people just are going to have to deal with the fact that all of the cast of the movies of the original trilogy are constantly like, yeah, we had to rewrite all of George's
I mean, that's Empire
dialogue
was
'cause his
written by
dialogue's
somebody
bad.
else, and that goes down as the best Star Wars.
But so
Just in front, just barely inched out Phantom Menace.
Oh, I knew you were gonna bring that up. Oh, I was re-listening to old episodes, and those ones piss me off.
Phantom Menace is great. Go straight to hell, Ben.
It's still in here. Just wanted to fight, but
Ben, you don't. I can't remember. You don't.
I think it's
like
the worst
Phantom
movie
Menace?
ever made. So
That's definitely not true. I don't know what your interest or nostalgia
If
is,
you're
but that's
listening to
definitely not
this-
true.
don't get me started. It's 2025, and I'm ready to go. I'm
It's
ready
time-
to fight.
I thought you were going to
Call
say
me
it's time to
Darius.
move on.
And you're Brad, because we're about to brawl.
Okay.
Brad, write to us. Brad, what do you think the best Star Wars movie is? Guarantee you, this kid says
No,
Rise
you know
of
he's saying Revenge of
Skywalker.
the Sith.
Yeah, I only watch Star Trek. Get out of here, Brad.
Okay,
Get Brad.
but,
Get out, Brad.
there are a lot of
Get out.
superhero
I actually
properties.
really am more into Farscape. You go. The surprise twist. Brad's a Farscape nerd. You guys have seen Babylon 5, yeah?
That's one of my top 10 bits of all time is Jesse saying Farscape.
I think there are a lot of superhero movies. Back to get back on track.
Sorry, back to Ben. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're absolutely right. To get back on track.
There's a lot of superhero movies like, and I will admit, The Flash is I think one of these.
Yeah.
I like the
What?
Flash as a character, and so I can tolerate that. I enjoy that movie, but I can't.
Can we just clip Ben saying, I like the Flash, and then post that as like a Vine where it just loops for 60 seconds?
I enjoyed that movie only because I like the Flash.
But it's a picture of, but the thumbnail is a picture of Ben in a trench coat, and you're not sure what's under it.
I see what you did there.
But I'm not going to recommend that movie because I know it's not good.
Totally.
But I like it because I like the Flash.
But you think, I'm sorry, we keep derailing you. You're saying you think there's a lot of superhero properties.
Yes,
that
I think
rely
there are a
on
lot of
that.
them that because I can't recommend a lot of those movies unless it's like top tier. There are
So-
only a few movies that are actually good despite it being a superhero.
So I think reverse psychology on this, or reverse, I don't know.
Physiology.
What I'm trying to say. But some people, and I've kind of fallen into this, right? I'm like burned out on some superhero movies. And so when I see a movie, like for me, it's got to be really, really good for me to like want to like it or to like it. I think a lot of people, their minds they go, oh, a superhero movie. I'm an adult. I don't need to watch this movie. And you go, no, actually, it's like a really good movie.
Yeah.
But they've written it off immediately because
it's a good movie.
It's a superhero movie. Or shout out again, Steven Thaxton. We were talking about animated movies. He's like not into animated movies at all. And I'm like, there's like legit good, funny movies,
really
like
good.
real film. It's to me, it's a real art form to tell stories.
Yeah.
You know, and Steve's like, no, not doing it like a cartoon. I'm just not into it. But yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. My older brother is very much in that vein where like, I'm not sure. I think he would admit probably that it boils down to like just a traditionalist attitude that's hard for him to overcome, which I understand. But it is interesting that people would be like, I don't do sci-fi. I don't do the fantasy stuff. Like I like the movies to feel
and I'm
real.
I'm that way on some fantasy books.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, well, it isn't real.
So
Goodfellas didn't actually happen.
I would say
they filmed it,
but you can't make this stuff up. It's I'm not as into fantasy as I am science fiction, and so like a fantasy book or a fantasy movie, like obviously the first Lord of the Rings is so good.
Yeah.
But like, and Kate loves, like, she loves anything that is like pretty, that good sets, good costumes,
aesthetically pleasing.
So she loved like the Amazon series, and I'm like, this mostly sucks. It mostly sucks, right? But it's pretty. It's aesthetically pleasing. She likes the story.
It looks gorgeous.
I mean, it cost like $1 billion.
Like this
to make.
is not in comparison to Fellowship of the Rings. Like Fellowship is an incredible film. Like whether you're a fantasy nerd or not, but that's what she's into. And likewise, this is where we can get into Hong Kong. Likewise, I'm super into like martial arts films. Fighting in sports, no, but
sport fighting.
But if a movie is completely based on violence and martial arts, I'm in 100%. But like the Jack.
Wait till this guy sees hockey movies.
And I freaking love
sees
them.
hockey movies. He's gonna freaking change his mind. This guy doesn't even know anything. You never see Miracle with Kurt Russell. You're freaking gonna your brain's gonna blow out your butthole.
It's good. Goon though with Sean William Scott is like all time great movie.
Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks.
Cool, I can name
D2. Slapshot. With the one guy, Cool Hand Luke.
I, Tanya? Oh, that's just skating.
but equal violence, which makes it interesting.
That happened for real.
Yeah, it did.
That happened for real.
So Hong Kong movies, right? Like this Jackie Chan, and in the 90s, Jackie Chan's making movies that are produced in America, but he is insecure with his English. And so a lot of the 90s movies, he like outside of Rush Hour, they're all acting and speaking English, but it's voiced over. So it's like dubbed, but English. And it's very apparent. Yeah. Like if you watch Rumble in the Bronx, like the white gang leader is like dubbed over in English. And it's not good.
Interesting. Oh, so you mean Jackie Chan was like, hey, instead of making it awkward that I'm dubbed,
what's the word where you re-record in post?
Yeah.
No, but like there's a ADR. So the entire film is ADR, like recorded in post, and you can tell, right?
Wow.
Because it lines up sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But I don't care because Rumble in the Bronx is amazing. The story is actually there, and the fight scenes and the stunts that Jackie Chan does, I'm like, dude, I've been watching YouTube reacts. I'm such a 12-year-old. I've been watching YouTube reacts, stuntmen and parkour athletes on Jackie Chan.
And fighting with my cousins in the playground.
Their minds are all blown, right, by Jackie Chan. It's so good. I literally have Super Cop, also known as Police Story 3, en route, special edition Dragon Dynasty release in Amazon purchase. Paid $22 for it. Didn't get what I wanted for Christmas, so I got myself my own Jackie Chan. No, but I'm like, I need.
Dear Santa, there's only two things I want for Christmas this year. One is the 20th anniversary Dragon Dynasty special release Diamond Edition of Police Story 3, also known as Super Cop. Number two, a pail.
But I think I had a great Christmas. I just get in these kicks, and I need to watch Dragon. I was gonna say Dragon Ball Z. Sometimes I get in that kick too. I need to watch Jackie Chan movies, and I want the DVD copy to watch the special features as well. So anyway,
you know what we need to talk about? Totally off topic.
DVDs compared to streaming.
Yeah, but also they're not producing, like, they're going to stop producing as many DVDs and Blu-rays, and it's going to be a phased out.
Totally. It's going to be like VHS, which is...
Oh, for sure.
Which is sad, but I get it. Like, how many people in the real world, like, own a DVD player that's not a PS4 or whatever?
Still, like, there's so many behind the scenes and special features and commentary stuff that we're missing out on movies.
Do they just put it on YouTube? But I agree.
On Disney Plus, they have a lot of special features for movies. Disney Plus goes out of their way to make special features content and premiere it on Disney Plus.
Will say I like buying physical copies because I don't like being at the mercy of a streaming company that I go, this movie is not on streaming anywhere. I'd rather buy the movie instead of like having to rent it on Amazon for $5.
I think that's not the scary thing. I don't mean to sound like such a dystopian, but like that's the thing that's, I think we have at stake.
You can write out IPs. If you want, you can write out an IP and make it disappear instead of having a physical copy.
Yeah, you no longer have the ability to actually own a copy. Literally, you don't have the ability to own a copy.
I almost bought the Police Story VHS on accident because it's on the same page. I go $8.99. What a great deal! VHS.
Yeah, one of these days you have to show your kids, why are these like invisible lines like constantly scrolling down the screen?
We loved it. All right, Darius, DCOM. Was there another?
Well, for me, it's just the TMNT cartoon. So the TMNT first movie, 1989 or 1990, whichever it is, it's just a great film.
Good movie.
If you've never seen it, Caleb, if you ever listen to this, my good friend Caleb lives here in town in Enumclaw. We were hanging out last night. He teaches me all kinds of things about all kinds of awesome sci-fi stuff and video games and fantasy stuff. Was teaching me about Warhammer 40K last night, which was really cool. He's never seen the 1990.
Got to do it.
TMNT, and I was like, "Well, that's what we're doing next time we hang out, bro." So the movie is good. The cartoon is
you're talking like 80s cartoon.
It's not great cartoon.
Yeah,
the cartoon's not very good.
Absolutely,
and I still love it. I still love everything about it. I still love Hot Rod and Teenagers.
Bro, Hot Rod and Teenagers.
These squares probably don't even have gyro burgers.
Dimension X is great. Yeah,
that's my big one. Hong Kong movies too, like I'll watch a Jet Li movie any day. It doesn't.
So
have to
I would
be good.
say this. I have like my interests. Westerns. I love anything in a Western, and so again, it will have to be a really, really good movie for Kate to enjoy that. Where she likes Romans, medieval. If it's set in that time, she's in it. And I was talking to her about Tremors.
Yeah.
Like in prep for this podcast, and I go, "Do you like Tremors?" Because it is a funny movie. It's a good suspenseful movie. And she goes, "I think I don't like it because it feels like a Western." She goes, "Give me worms in space, and I probably would like it. She hasn't seen Dune yet, and I go, that's like graboids in space.
I was gonna say,
she goes, graboids. Why do I know that word?
I think
that's the monster in Tremors.
I feel like Kate would
I agree.
love Dune because it is very imperial, but it's set in space. Has she seen Wicked yet? I forgot last week. My top favorite movie of 2025.
My friend just put it on his
Wicked.
MB server, and so Kate and I are gonna watch it like this week as soon as she's done on with her call.
I think you'll really like it. I mean, I think you'll love it. I think Kate will love it. I think Kate will really love it, personally. I don't know how she feels about musicals.
We're pumped to watch it, for sure.
Good.
Okay, so for me, I think, again, Tremors, that Jason, let's see, I lost my space. Like Tremors, Hook, TMNT, I think these are great movies. I will tell you those are great movies. I will say, because I like action movies, I'm wearing a Bloodsport shirt right now. I don't know if Bloodsport is like a good movie per se. I do think it is of his better ones. But if it's JCVD, Steven Seagal, or Chuck Norris, I know they're not great, but I'm into it. Now, with that being said, though, I will say that I'm not impervious to just liking my interests, because I tried to watch the new Davy Crockett movie on Amazon.
Oh yeah,
and I turned it off after 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
Yeah,
and I cried on the Fez Parker, the 1955 one. I know he dies in the Alamo. When I rewatched it 3-4 months ago, I cried at the end. It's amazing. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that just reminded me.
I'm not impervious.
So I've been on a Muppets kick ever since I rewatched the Muppet Christmas Carol, which I think, even though I love the Muppets, I still think that's a great movie. I think it's one of the best adaptations of that.
Brittany had it on the other day. We've been doing this thing since Christmas, that we've been watching Christmas movies in the background while we work. So we just have them playing, and I've been catching 10% of them. I couldn't work during Muppets Christmas Carol. It's the best version of a Christmas Carol. There's a lot of funny Muppet things in it, but as far as capturing the Christmas Carol story,
Jim Henson,
it's amazing.
Saturday Night Live,
yes,
the Muppets, and Jim Henson's Creature Shop created the Turtles costumes for the 90s. There's the through line, people. We're professionals.
But I then was like, all right, I've seen the Muppet movie. I've seen Muppets, Great Caper, or Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need some more Muppet content. And so I tried to watch some of their new stuff. They just had a TV show. It was like the Muppet Mayhem, and it's about the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah.
I got halfway through the first episode.
Weren't into it. Have you seen the Jason Segel one?
I've seen the first Jason Segel one.
The one where Brett wins, won an Oscar for Am I a Man or a Muppet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
And then we watched the second one,
it's a good
Muppets
movie.
Most Wanted, and I just couldn't.
Less good. Still funny parts.
So even though I love the Muppets, those are not great.
Have you watched any of the original Muppets variety show? Love that. Love the OG Muppets. And I know it's a lot of nostalgia because it's like movies I grew up on. It's like watching Sylvester Stallone host, Mark Hamill host. But I just really like the OG Muppet show.
There's some genuinely hilarious moments in those shows, in those old episodes.
I'm rewatching the first season of Saturday Night Live, and I didn't realize that every episode, it's Andy Kaufman does a bit. There's a Jim Henson creature skit, and then a film by Albert Brooks. There's not really. It honestly doesn't feature a ton of the cast members, right? It does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, right.
It's just
there's just less sketches because it was a variety show.
And I actually enjoyed some of the sketches that they did are single punchline jokes, right? There's a minute sketch and then a punchline, and I kind of like it. Anyway.
I
am through 4 episodes.
Who hosts in episode 4?
It's the first girl one, and I'm forgetting her name. Candace Bergman, yeah.
Candace Bergman.
And there's like a through line with bees
Great up.
like is really funny. In Rob Reiner's episode, he's like, I told him I'm not doing the bees. It didn't work in the first episode. It didn't work in Paul Simon's. And they're like in a bee restaurant. It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, they've done the bees performing, right?
Yeah.
Like the bees doing the song.
So, all right, here's my final thought on this I think, again, time is the great like decider of what is good and what is not good. And I think that you find cult classics because it's maybe a small niche of interest, but these are the movies that will persist. That it says you don't just watch it one time because you're interested in it. You watch it over and over again because it's good, right? Like it actually is a quality movie. And so regardless of your interests, it will persist. Same thing with music, right? Like in TV shows. There are TV shows from the 90s. I just did a trivia thing on 90s sitcoms, and it's like the golden age of sitcoms, I believe. But there's still like dozens of sitcoms that I completely forgot about that were like, they were okay, but they didn't persist in time, right? And I think that, yeah, like it'll just be interesting 15 years from now, 20 years from now, where you go, which one will still be shown, like, or still be talked about. Yeah.
I agree. I'm not like trying to do this, but just like what pops into my head is that's why the story of Jesus is still around. That like Ben was saying before we started the podcast, that if you listen to the podcast and you go back and listen to episodes, it sounds like I just assume things are in movies that were never intended to be there, which is 100% correct. That is literally 100% correct. I don't care whether it was intended or not. I actually prefer it when it's unintentional, when people are trying to tell their own story and the gospel comes through and the message of God comes through unwillingly. That's a wild, wild thing that happens. And it happens more with anything else. It happens with the gospel of Jesus, with the story of God's love for his people. And so I think some people think that the Bible is still around because of the Roman Catholic Church, or the Bible is still like, I think people don't realize over 500 years ago, there was a schism, but there have been many schisms in the church, but over 500 years ago, people cared about the story of the gospel so much that they were like, no, we want to get away from the Roman Catholic Church so that we can double down on the story of Jesus. And so it's not around because of a government. It's not around because of Rome. It's not around because of because of European colonization. People discover the Bible. Like, I've heard testimonies of people where they're like, yeah, I'd never heard of Jesus before. I lived in India. I found a Bible that a missionary had left. No one had ever talked about it. It was buried under the floorboards of my house. I read it. I gave my life to Jesus. Yeah. Because the story is insanely compelling.
When China like locked down and like they wouldn't let missionaries in anymore. And it was like, like that's a huge, like, a huge hit for the church is how they viewed it, because they couldn't let missionaries in anymore. Yeah. And so then it was like 25 or 30 years later that they opened it back up, that missionaries could come in as English teachers or something like that. And what they found was that despite the government, the church had grown, like, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like exponentially it grew because despite people being oppressed and put to death and to jail and no missionary presence, right? Like it still spread and grew faster than even if someone was like, quote unquote, preaching the gospel.
As of 2023, there are approximately 44 million Chinese Christians registered with government-approved Christian groups. That's
the people that have registered, because even though it still is like, even though you're like, yeah, you can totally register, I think it's still pretty frowned upon.
Well, you can't. Well, they have state approved Christian churches. So there are Christian. There is a Chinese state Christian church. But if you go to the Chinese state Christian church, you are under the rule of the Chinese state,
CCP.
Which means if they want to tell, like, you have to say whatever propaganda they tell you to say, and you cannot preach things they tell you cannot preach. So the bigger movement of Christians in China is unregistered Christians that are in secret.
They really preach a separation of church and state. They go, maybe we're into this. When I also am into. There is something compelling about the story that persists, right? And something about the gospel is that the interesting thing is that you can put it into. There are stories that, like, the hero's journey is a thing for a reason, right? Sacrificial love is a thing for a reason. And when you talk about, I was like Kurosawa's Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven, right? It's Seven Samurai or a Western, but these two movies persists because they tell a story that is captivating, right? That is compelling, regardless if you're a samurai person or a Western person. I happen to be both, so I like both of them exponentially more than my wife. But they are movies from the 60s that persist, right? And will continue to get remade because, it's, So we have reached our time, maybe even gone over a little bit, but that's okay because it is compelling, and I hope that this interests you. If not, you probably left a long time ago. If this does interest you, this podcast, you should tell your friends about it.
Tell all your friends.
Tell all your friends about it.
Them. Maybe write in.
NewWayStoriesPod@gmail.com. You can leave hate mail on our Instagram if you want.
Or just tell us something that you're interested in that you know other people might not like, but it's just, you enjoy it because you...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was on Cameo and I saw that I could get a 1-minute message from Chuck Norris for $400, and I will tell you,
is Kirk Cameron on there?
No, he's not. That's the whole reason I looked at it. I go, man, if I could get I would pay $400 to get Kirk Cameron to talk smack about Darius.
I would help pay for that.
He hasn't been on since 2021, but
Here's the really interesting thing to me is that Kirk Cameron, for all the crap that we've given him, if you see him in interviews, he is such a cool guy. And I saw him doing he was doing a react video reacting to this girl who was posting anti-Christian stuff because she's an atheist on TikTok. And he was doing it with, who's the really annoying, he's very smart, but he's very annoying pundit from
Ben Shapiro. I was going to say Ben Shapiro. I like Shapiro. I don't think he's annoying.
He's got a long face. He's got
Matt Walsh has a beard. That's a very distinct.
Not racist guy.
It's not Matt Walsh.
Michael
He's
Knowles.
a Catholic dude.
Andrew Clavin? Okay.
Michael Knowles. Thank you. Michael Knowles. He's a smart guy. He comes across extremely rude. So Michael Knowles was doing this react video with Kirk Cameron, and they watched this atheist girl making fun of Christianity. And Michael Knowles is like, she seems pretty dumb, doesn't she? And Kirk goes, well, I think what she says is inherently wrong. He goes, but I honestly have nothing but compassion and grace for this girl because I remember being exactly where she's at. I remember having those exact same thoughts and saying those exact same things. And I was hurting and I was broken and I needed the love of God, and I didn't know how to give myself to Jesus and accept Jesus for myself. So he was like, yeah, I do. What she's saying is inherently not good logic, but he goes, man, I totally understand where she's coming from.
Yeah.
I hope she finds Jesus. And after seeing that, I was like, man, Kirk Cameron is so freaking cool. I want to punch him in the
whole reason we want a cage match is for that exact reason.
Kirk Cameron,
love and compassion. Meet my fist.
You think you're up. My fist. Destruction and judgment. I double dog dare you, Kirk. You think you're off the hook because you're a kind guy, because you're a good theologian, because you have children and a wife? I don't care if I leave them fatherless and widowed. I will fight you so hard, Kirk, that your kneecaps will be on your butt cheeks.
When Michael C. Hall is the bully that fights Jeff, he goes, knock, knock. This fist of your balls. Who's there?
Your balls.
See you after school, forehead. All right. That does it. So good. Thank you guys so much for listening. Write in, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We will see you next week for another edition of New Way Stories. Suck it, Brad.
I don't know what he's sucking because we haven't grown a pair.
Okay. I didn't mean it
well,
like that.
literally.